At the edge of the universe, 400 men and women are probing the immeasurable blackness of space. Their leaders are an Earthman with no fear and a stranger with no heart. Travel beyond our time and solar system, into new galaxies, into worlds beyond your dreams. Star Trek, every week, in color.
Oh man, do you remember when? Remember when it was last Tuesday? Well, here it is Tuesday again. It's 3 p.m. Pacific Earth time, and we're in a nostalgic mood as we luxuriate and we soak in the next generation. And I've got a couple of tub mates to soak with me. Let's bring them in now, my hot tub buddies, and yours, I hope. He's fun. He's Captain Fun. Larry Young. Hey, Larry.
Oh. Hey, Dan. That hot tub thing. I'm all about it. Let's soak in our own gravy and talk about Star Trek.
All right. Well, let's stir in a little spice to this stew with Dr. Johnny, or should I say a little price to the stew with Dr. Johnny Price, PhD. Hey, John.
I don't think I've soaked in a hot tub for a very long time.
I've got one right out here in the old.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we'll be right there.
I think the last hot tub I was in Mexico.
Oh, for your honeymoon.
Yes.
Is that you still married? Is that still going on?
Yes, as far as I know. We'll check back in later and see how it's going.
I'm with Dave Porter. I love that beginning. Like, remember Tuesday? Tuesday was so long ago, but it is Tuesday again.
A lot of things have happened since Tuesday, guys.
Man, I love it.
It's been a long Tuesday.
Another week, another Tuesday. And guys, I got exciting news. We have exciting news. We can actually talk about Star Trek on Serious Star Trek today.
Dun, 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 dun.
And maybe nothing but Serious Star Trek. We'll try not to shoehorn in too many AI things. Who would think you would get sick of talking about artificial intelligence in a show about sci-fi? But here we are. What did you guys think? I soaked in it. I watched it, but I want to hear what you guys thought. I want to hear the thinking, because here's what happened to me. Can I just say?
I want to hear what you think, Dave.
Well, here's what happened.
Yeah, John and I
like Star Trek all the time.
We went off like all week about this, so I'm with John's reticence in that, let's bring the fresh meat up and have him tell us what he thinks.
Yeah, fresh meat.
I had almost the perfect experience because I paid for it. I'm like, I'm gonna buy it. I'll buy Paramount Plus. I'll pay the $5 or whatever, $10, and then I go to Picard, and it's like, Picard season 3. This is the thing they want you to see. Like, they know I came back to see this thing. Mm-hmm. So they're showing it to me. I click on it. I click watch, and I'm watching it. And I even got my wife involved, who's not a fan in any way. And we're watching it, and we watch maybe 20 minutes in, and I go, this is the worst piece of garbage I've ever seen in my life. I don't understand how this is Star Trek in any way. It is so terrible that I must not be watching the right thing. So I went back to the computer, and sure enough, it was season 1, episode 1.
It does that. Dude, Paramount Plus is so bad. It does that. It did that to me too.
It did it to me, and it was such hot fucking garbage. It repelled my wife immediately from the room. And for me, I'm like, there's no way I could watch this. I didn't understand who anybody was, anything that was going on. And then the special effects were terrible to top it off. There were awful effects in it. So, and then the internet went out. So I rebooted the router. I rebooted my expectations and set it back on, and I watched it, and I didn't like it. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was actually funny when it was trying to be funny. I think a little bit of frakes is all you need. Just sprinkle liberally with frakes.
A little bit of frakes is in my life.
Because this guy, I mean, he was old in season 1. I'm like, he's a little past his prime. But then fast forward to this, which is like maybe 5 years after probably he shot season 1. maybe less, but he's not getting any more spry, right? So he's like, it would be hard to sell a show completely around this guy if you want to make it like an exciting action-based show.
That's true.
So bringing in Frakes was great. The comedy duo of them, the kind of Laurel and Hardy feeling that it had. And I think they summed up the whole thing with that song that they played in the beginning. Right? Do you remember they're playing this? They're playing an old nostalgic tune.
Oh yeah, what's it called?
I don't want to set the world on fire. I just want to set a fire in your heart. I believe they played this in the writer's room and they said, guys, we don't need to destroy Star Trek. We need to rekindle what people love about Star Trek, not completely destroy it the way we've been doing for 2 seasons. Because this is just a wash in nostalgia, but they avoided overt fan service. The jokes were pretty funny. I was thinking about John Price the whole time. They're talking about models and the Enterprise D and the Fat Galaxy class.
Wasn't that funny? That was actually funny.
I don't mean to play Can You Top This, but the first shot with the like super distinctive Eagle Moss stand, I'm like, Price is gonna like that
for sure. And then everything else, was pretty good. Raffi, I don't know who Raffi is.
You don't need to.
And I didn't like anything I saw until I did like that cool special effect with the wormhole thing.
The Doctor Strange fucking whatever it is.
It's kind of like a new transporter beam. So like, couldn't they already? I don't know.
We'll talk about that later.
But I enjoyed it, and I'm in, and the jokes landed for me, like I said, and the dickish captain is so great. Everything I loved about Kyle in Strange New Worlds, whatever the heck that's called. Like, I like dicks in Starfleet. I'm gonna say most of Starfleet is probably like that guy.
Yeah.
But then, John, you got me thinking. I read your thing with your predictions and stuff, and I'm like, there's a tragic backstory to this guy, but they didn't blurt it out. It's going to make sense in his character development when, spoiler alert, he comes back and saves them the day. He'll save them in some way, thus redeeming himself and love for everybody. But like, it was good. It was well written, well paced. Not too much. They didn't shove everybody in. Few too much Geordi references, like maybe. But I like that he Riker dissed Geordi's daughter and just like kind of ribbed her and gave her.
That was funny. Yeah.
Everything Frakes was magical.
Yeah. So yeah. I'm glad you liked it. It is definitely a positive evolution of this kind of Kurtzman verse trajectory, right? They started off having no idea what they're doing, and they've gotten to a point now 7 years later where they're starting to figure out, okay, this is actually what we're supposed to be doing.
Right. Maybe we should do Star Trek.
I appreciate that. And you're right. The comedy did work. And I think a lot of people on the internet who are, the haters, so to speak, are mad about all the references and all the, overt, but they did references correctly for the first time in New Trek, where it's not like, hey, remember my iPhone? It's just part of the universe, right? It's like, he goes to a bar and they're selling little shitty models and he gets all offended because nobody wants his old ship. Like, that makes sense. That's like you go to a Navy bar and that guy would be sitting there, and of course they didn't harp too much on Geordi's daughter. I love the way they introduced her. She's just in the background, like smiling, like, it's my hero, Jean-Luc Picard. And he's like, who the fuck is that lady? And she's like, oh, that's Geordi's daughter. And he's like, oh yeah, I remember you, being the good diplomatic admiral who doesn't remember her at all. So yeah, I did appreciate it. Is a very positive step in the evolution of Kurtzman Trek. So I appreciate that.
I'm really glad I at least had that first episode of the first season to even, because I had no idea what to expect.
That was bad.
And I'm like, there was nothing Star Trek-y about it. Where in this one, they're like frame one, they're like, this is Star Trek.
The irony is that the premise of season 1 and season 3 are exactly the same. Picard gets a distress signal from someone, and then he has to go find a way to get out into the universe. So it's a pretty interesting parallel from that. But Larry, what are your initial thoughts here?
I'm just so glad that that Dan had that experience he had, because like we had to get our nose rubbed in it for 6 years about how shitty the 2 seasons of Picard were. You just go because of their stupid thing where they start everybody off on episode 1 instead of the last one that you just saw like every other streamer.
They do that with other shows too. It's like, it doesn't matter what show it is. If you click it for the first time, it'll just take you to, first episode of Tulsa King. And I'm like, why are you doing this? I'm on episode 8, Okay, sorry. I don't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good, because this is how conversations go in my house. Like, I feel like I'm around the kitchen table talking to you guys. But yeah, you only got your first 10 minutes of going, oh, my nose is shit, I don't like that, take that away. And then you could just jump up to where it's like it's half good. Honestly, I had sort of, my initial reaction was I just saw the shit that didn't work, and taking for granted that the stuff that did, even though you see it and go, oh my God, that's great. I really wish that I can spot him that. I just think there's been 60 years of Star Trek that having everything feel like Star Trek tonally and have dialogue sound like Star Trek is like, that's where the bar is, right? Like, oh, great, finally a Star Trek episode just gives me a bellyache. Whatever Kirk says. Tummy ache. Gives me a tummy ache. So I'm glad that you said, because just listening to you made me go, all right, maybe next episode will be like great. Zaki Hassan from Stanford, from the Quran is saying it's great. Mark Altman is saying it's great. I really respect those guys' opinions. It's just like, I wish that one of them had followed me the link and see the next 6 episodes, because I would have said it to you guys.
Annoying. It is annoying that like half the internet has already seen it.
Oh, really?
Do that. Let's just have it see it. I mean, come on, send it to everybody.
Yeah. Now I have nitpicks for sure. Little technical nitpicks. The stupid codec. A codec.
Before we get to nitpicks, if I can just say one thing. This was kind of my review of episode 1 was like, this is perfect for people like Dantron, where it's like, all you have to do is pretend season 1 and season 2 don't happen.
Exactly.
You don't need all of Rafi's backstory. You immediately understand that, like, oh, this is Rafi's character. Got it. Right. Oh, 7 of 9 is, last I saw her, she was on Voyager. Now she's a commander. Like, you don't need that whole stupid backstory that they gave her, right? Of course, we fast forward 30 years and Picard is an old man now. All of this makes sense. Like, you don't need the stupid backstory they gave in season 1, season 2. I almost wish I could Men in Black myself and forget season 1 and 2, so I could enjoy season 3, that at least that first episode, the way it sounded like Dan did.
Well, the only reason I know some of the things is because of the stuff you guys have told me about it, right? And it's like, Picard is not, this guy's not a fucking robot. What are you talking about? Like, they just said they're just gonna like, just don't worry about that stuff. And
Which is the right thing to do.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the right way to approach it. Be like, yeah, we're not like, we'll use some of the characters, but nope.
But maybe they need a robot, because I mean, walking up the steps looks like a dramatic scene. Like, for Picard, there's a couple times where I'm just like,
is he gonna make it?
What's he gonna do?
I just want to know what happens at the end for this show, because I don't think I'm going to be happy unless Q shows up and they walk into heaven together.
Yeah, something like that.
Because they've already done like the end. All Good Things is like, that's all I needed. That was great. Then we get some more movies from them. Okay, I get how the world works.
Well, and Picard's already dead. Like, how much? What is another finality can you have? Right? I don't know. It's weird. But
that's why because all good robots go to heaven, right? That's what you need Q for. because then otherwise you could just 700 club it and
oh my god, you guys, what if Harrison Ford shows up playing playing the replicant killer and just pops Picard in the head and be like, yeah, take your origami, bitch.
Well,
you know?
okay, wait a minute. So speaking of references
Okay.
and like nostalgic
wow, yeah, nice try, John, but moving on.
Are they trying
what are
to
you
like
do?
is Crusher's son supposed, I mean, are we not supposed to automatically think about Kirk and his
Yeah, I
it's
don't know what they're
blatant.
doing.
Genesis project and like
it's blatant.
Yeah,
I mean, they
David
start the
Marcus.
episode with the exact same opening as Wrath of Khan,
Yeah.
and then it's the exact same premise as Wrath of Khan, the former lover, and then he shows up and there's a mysterious son. Like, okay, all right. we get it.
Hashtag justice for Beverly's uterus.
Yeah, right.
Hey, there's big old John Swanson. That's cool.
Yeah.
I like the first episode too, but it was more of a 51 to 49% liking the episode.
John's a little late because he was too busy interviewing legendary cartoonist Dave Gibbons over on his channel. Oh, you know that?
That's awesome.
That dude who wrote The Watchmen. It's not like he has anything interesting to say or anything like that, John. It's not like I'm bitter because those people won't even return my emails, John.
Oh, Jesus.
Just kidding, John.
Yeah.
I can't wait to listen to John's interview with that one. That was gonna be
like with whoever I was just
no. I got so enraged. I got so enraged. My eyes turned red. I couldn't handle it anymore. No, but John does interview the greatest guys, and he's been a guest host here too. And he likes Picard, but agrees that like, dude, Pat, how much time do we have? We might need a Patrick Stewart robot, for sure.
I was okay until I saw his he did some press for it on Seth Meyers, and it's clear that he wasn't just going. I mean, he's just old. What are you going to do, right? And I think you're getting to be like elder abuse, making that guy walk upstairs. You know.
Well, yeah, they got to give him a hologram or something, or like some easier way to get him in. But we love him. He's still pulling it off. Yeah. He still can act. He's still got the gravitas, and we've got the.
He sounds a lot more like Picard this season, or at least in the first episode. It does sound a lot more like Picard, which is the writing. They're actually writing Picard instead of writing character who is called Picard.
Yeah, whatever. I'm kind of glad that
Here's the problem Larry's having. The problem Larry's having is that for about 3 months now, this has been hyped so much on the internet that you have people literally saying it's the best Star Trek since like Voyager, and it's like, dude, it's good, it's an improvement, unless there's a dramatic increase in quality and entertainment. Like, what are you guys talking about? Like, yeah, it's good. It's okay that it's good. It's okay that it's better than it was before. It doesn't have to be the greatest thing of all time.
Here's my problem is it's of course how they roll out all this stuff by like just starting in the beginning. You know, here's 2 episodes that don't matter, and you can see one on network TV, and now you have to buy our streaming thing that doesn't work. Like they did the same thing with Picard. That like they rolled out this thing and we're like, okay, well, we saw the first episode. What the fuck are you guys talking about? And then the answer from everyone across the board is, well, you just have to watch the 6 rest of them.
Right.
And all that does, it's like, you know what happened at my house, right? They closed the highway because it's for they want the bicyclists and the kids and everything to have fun and make it a park, and then people with cars are going, what the fuck? So it's like you can't just arbitrarily do this thing and get because you're going to make the 2 sides hate each other while they're hating you. So you just generated a whole bunch of hate, thinking, "Oh, let's do a good thing and have some of the people go, hey, you're part of the family, and you get the secret thing, and you can tell your buddies." Okay, except now we hate you for giving them that shit, and we hate them for not sharing it with us.
Divide and conquer, doing it to us.
So then, when I turn on the first episode, I'm already mad. Like, and then I see. Sometime in the 25th century, and the same thing as Wrath of Khan, I think, well, that's supposed to say 23rd. Oh, shit, that's right. It's the 25th now. It's 200 years later. And I just got caught up in, like, is that the same font even? And because I don't give a fuck about what you're doing, because you piss me off about, everybody I know has seen this except for me and John and you.
Yeah.
So
really
all right, I'm good now.
Okay. Well,
no, that's a valid point though, because it's like yeah, for people like us who are intentionally watching it, it's like these aren't fun references that, hey, that looks like they're at the con. It's like we're watching it with the intentionality of everyone we know has said how great this is. All this does is annoy me when it says in the 25th century, because I'm like, yeah, I know that. Move on. And then I hear the Wrath of Khan music, and I'm like, okay, are you just ripping it off now? Because we already saw this. It's called Star Trek Into Darkness. Like, what are you doing here, right? So that's the whole
thing. Yeah, if they're going for a second squeeze of the Khan juice, I just hope Khan has nothing to do with it at all. Yeah. And like, I mean, there were some clues in the trailers and stuff, so we could make some guesses on who the Khan is, or maybe it's all a con job on us to get us. I see. All I want to know is when did Picard start drinking decaf Earl Grey? That really
what's up with that? Especially now that you're a robot, go full hog. I am petrified about what Amanda Plummer's character is going to be, but that's a whole other discussion.
Well, and I have the dummy question of the week. So we got Beverly's son, maybe whoever that dude is, like the questionable son, but doesn't she have a son? Where's Wesley? What's
That's a good question.
He's out. No, he's out doing his Doctor Who stuff with the Traveler.
Yeah, he's getting.
But wait, can we just, before we go, because we're going to continue talking about this, we have to give John Price all the credit. Like, I got my kid, I got my wife doing this because we don't know what the Crusher boy is named. John called him Jack Luke Crusher.
Jack Luke, isn't that his name?
So like just Americanized Jean-Luc. Yeah. And I was just like,
and her husband's name was Jack Crusher, so it makes sense. Jack Luke Crusher,
Just so funny to me personally that I passed it along to my family, and like Walker's telling his Star Trek buddies in school, they're like, "Oh yeah, that's Jack Luke," and they're gonna get mad at him when they're like, "Oh no, his name is Dave. I just watched that episode."
Yeah, right.
No, that's not what I heard from my dad. It's Jack Luke. And I'm like, that was Dr. Price. It wasn't me.
Jail. Call him Jail. So should we start at like the beginning and like kind of work through it, or how do you guys want to do this?
You tell me, John. Like,
if you have a chronology,
I can spend the next 40 minutes complaining about the ship. So I need some structure here.
I'll take jackets. I'm very mad about that.
I love Beverly's jacket. It's kind of the blue and it's
hers is cool, I guess.
Wrath of Khan with the big white. I like it.
Well, so let's. I mean, if you think so, all the trappings and everything is pointing towards a Wrath of Khan moment. Who is the Khan of Star Trek? Like, who is that? That would mean it's going to be it has to be a nostalgic throwback villain from the series. Has to be, right? So it's got to be. Not. Who else? I mean, it doesn't fit. Doesn't fit the mold unless it is.
They said Professor Moriarty is going to be there, and that's fine. But I hope they don't.
How does that fit in?
Well, if they address the Picard's a robot, then that works because he's a hologram, and there's stuff to explore there. But like, I don't think they're that smart. I don't. Can I just get off? Not get off on, but kind of. Nice. John Smedjay says that there aren't Easter eggs if they're right in front of you. Because you guys know, I do the props and costumes. I love it. And they did this just slow pan. It's like, oh, there's my shelf in my office, right?
Yeah.
But so that's cool. I get it. But like all these guys online are like breathlessly going, oh, this is a reference to whatever. Yeah. But they missed. There's a Star Trek 3 assault phaser in parts on the counter, and none of the guys I read, like AV Club, X Up Rocks, those guys. Nobody is like, there's a fucking phaser there, and an old school phaser. Nobody said that. Really? You're like deep up the thing of like, this was an award for something that was mentioned off camera, and memory beta is something that my friend Bob got that on there, and it's like, yeah, okay, all that tells you is they don't know what an Easter egg is.
Well, but things that were new too, like who were the aliens that Bev? Is that a species that
the skull face guys? I don't. I mean, not as far as I know.
Yeah, I like them. I like the look of them. That alone was scarier than the Gorns they gave us in Strange New Worlds.
Yeah.
which is not aging well in my mind, by the way.
Good. I'm glad. John Sunders says Sela is going to be the big bad. Which is a good guess.
I don't know who that is.
Sela is Tasha Yar's kid, Romulan.
Oh yeah,
played by Tasha Yar. Like very, very blonde, but a Romulan.
Yeah,
I don't think that's gonna be it because Amanda Plummer is somebody, but like they already tried this with Picard, with in Nemesis, with his fake DNA kid,
Tom Hardy. Yeah.
So they've already tried to do all of these elements in Star Trek Next Generation movies, which is kind of frustrating because it's like, yeah, you've already done this. Like, I don't know. We'll see. Any other guesses for big bads? I don't know. I don't really know how it's gonna go because, like I said, the whole premise is the exact same premise as the first season. So I assume they're gonna try to do something else.
Yeah. I'm at the point now where I said this online that I'm just like Charlie Brown trying to kick that football, and the fucking new Kurtzman Trek just pulled that ball away every time. I think it's gonna be okay, I guess, but what they made me do is not try to figure out where they're going. I just want to experience. I hadn't even heard that Sela. I forget how to pronounce that. But remember the old days when a character like that could show up and like it didn't cripple the internet for a year, where it's just like, no, it's Tasha Yar's kind of half clone Romulan chick from another dimension. Just play through, and everybody goes, "Oh, that's cool. At least Tasha Yar's kind of back. She's got pointed ears. Wee-ha!" Like, where are those Star Trek fans? Because that's how we grew up. Like, oh my God, Kirk has got some girl in a bikini and she's baking potatoes where her boobies should be. Like, come on. Like, this is escapist entertainment. And look outside the window. We have some shit to escape, man. Like, there's Chinese word balloons. Sorry,
Chinese word balloons.
Chinese weather balloons. I don't know. I was ranting. But I don't feel it, Just give me some good Star Trek.
The only one, and I don't know too if he's been used already, but Lore is one of those villains that just is one of those guys that you want to bring back. He would be a Khan type villain. There's not too many other that I can think of. I really do like the idea of Moriarty because I think that's one of the cleverer ideas in Star Trek.
Well, they showed, Brent Spiner's in it. They've showed pictures of him in the uniforms, and I don't want that to be Lore. Lore's like, Data's gone, man. So he's gonna trick everybody that I'm Data, everybody. But look, I got my Lore face on, and it's like, really, again. I just wish these guys would do some motherfucking Star Trek, so my kid has something to talk about instead of, remember that fourth time they ripped off Wrath of Khan,
right?
Yeah, Jesus.
I really, really dislike Brent Spiner, so I really hope it's not Lore. So
I'm with John on this one. I really like both those characters. Like I really like bad guys. I like villains. I like memorable villains. That's why I think Wrath of Khan is so great in my mind.
What about Lore and Moriarty? About their stories isn't done yet. Why do you need to see them some more?
Well, that's a different story.
So but everybody's like, yeah, I'm psyched. I'm like, why?
If somebody's got a good one, though, maybe somebody could have said that about Khan too, right? And there is could be a great.
No, but the difference is there was one episode and then there was one movie, and you're like, that's fucking great.
Okay,
like Moriarty's been in like 15 episodes. I'm sick of Lore. They just like, what the fuck?
Well, Larry, I got one to pitch for you. I got a chicken.
All right, go ahead.
Name. What's her name? Noonian Singh. Noonians, whatever.
The whole Kirk and her romance, that thing.
And they did milk Wrath of Khan too soon with that crapo movie, man. They really blew it because they could have saved it up for something good, but I guess they thought that was good. They really thought that was gonna.
No one thought that was good.
Blow everybody's minds. Yeah, I don't think anybody did.
John is inviting us to his show, so I got to go. I'm going to Word Balloon. Right.
Watch out, you're gonna get shot down by an F-22. So what did you guys think? So it starts off with of course Bev Crusher shooting a bunch of people with phaser shotguns, which I thought was fun. A lot of people on the internet are like, "That's not how phasers work," and I'm just like, "Dude, who cares? It's a phaser
those
shotgun."
dude,
like, she racked a phaser. What's fucking cooler than that?
Yeah, come on. And how tactical is a weapon that when you run out of bullets, it says in a nice clear voice,
and a very loud,
"You're out of fucking bullets."
Like, yeah, really. Everybody take a breather. We're out of bullets over here.
That was funny.
We'll get
you know what? I instantly thought nitpicked that phaser was the first thing that I nitpicked. But then didn't they later on, they said, they looked at the ashes of the guy and they go, does that look like phaser fire to you? And he said, no, that was not a phaser, fellas. That was a new Star Trek weapon.
Well, I think the point they were making was that, like, because she's been on her own for so long, she's had to like jerry rig new things to like make it right. I think that's kind of what they're going for.
I think it was maybe one of the bad guys' weapons or whoever she's mixed up in with. There's a whole other
stuff that she's got over the years.
Because I was at you, I'm like, why the fuck would you cock a phaser and why is it announcing? And then later on, they showed current phasers that were pretty retro throwback looking phasers too. So I think that really is a separate, like it's a new technology from a new race.
That'd be fun. So then it goes to Picard, and he's making out with Laris, which is gross. And they're talking about how much he misses the Enterprise D. And he's a robot. I love the fact that Laris is like, "Oh, wasn't that your first ship?" And he's like, "It wasn't my first, but it was my favorite," which is fine. That's perfectly fine if he wants to say the Enterprise D was his favorite. And if they had said it was his first and just left it at that, then I'd be pissed.
Right.
Because he was Captain of the Stargazer for like 20 years.
Sure.
So that's a whole thing.
What? Wait, was he really?
Oh, yeah.
I thought he got the Enterprise D when he was like 45 or something.
Yeah, no. The story is everybody on the Stargazer dies. He takes over. He's like a lieutenant or something.
Oh, okay.
And they made him captain for like 20 fucking years. Yeah,
that makes sense. Oh, you mean a Star Trek solution back when Star Trek was very Star
Trek used to Star Trek. Yeah.
I get it.
Then what happens after that? I don't remember what happens after that.
But why is he kissing Laris? I mean, she's a very attractive woman. Okay, that's great. But you're a robot, pal.
At the end of season 2, they got together, and it's a whole thing.
Before that happens, Bev decides that the best way I need to send a secret message. So I'm going to pick a codec, a compression decompression algorithm. This is like what you use to encode video on a DVD. This is not what you use to encode a top secret subspace communications. They didn't use
brother.
You need public private key encryption, and they could have had an explanation, but they reached for whatever, like they asked the technician in the video editor's place, and he's like, yeah, just use a different codec, use MP7 on that thing. And I didn't enjoy that because, a codec that is a well-known thing that everybody knows. So anybody who gets that message will be able to trivially decode it. Maybe that will be a plot point and they'll redeem themselves.
But Dan, it only goes to his communicator from 20 years ago.
They kind of explained all of that, though, right? I mean, the communicator thing is kind of moronic. Dumb. Unless she knows that he's got it within earshot all the time. Yeah. Because
what if it's in storage?
Yeah, it's in my garage. I heard nothing. The fucking computer couldn't even identify it.
True.
Sorry, you're dead. But yeah.
And then she did double encrypt it too by adding 3 to all the digits in the coordinates too. So there was something to it there.
But that stuff, whatever, that's TV logic, right?
Yeah.
It's the whole everybody's mad that why'd she send it to the one guy who didn't know what he was talking about? They didn't know the secret trip, because the reason they had this double top secret probation codec thing is in case he lost his shit after returning to human form after being Locutus, that whole shit. Which I love that they just kind of go, hey, remember when you were Locutus? They didn't even say anything for people who didn't know what that was. Because Walker, my kid who's seen Star Trek, goes, what? Because we haven't gotten to that one. All they had to do was Oh, remember when you were robot compromised or whatever? Like you didn't. It's sometimes you can. It's so. John's got a great point that there's no consistency thematically, but there's no consistency to like the Star Trek-ness in each episode, right? Like sometimes there's no Star Trek, and then some there's so much they assume that you know something so much that like even like a passing fan is like, I know that's an iconic thing, but what is that again? Why do they need a code?
Right.
He was a robot. He had a flashlight for an arm. You know, it's like
it was acceptable as a plot device to get us to where we needed to go. She needed to get a secret message to Picard and got it to him. And because he's the only person she could trust, and she couldn't trust anyone in Starfleet. And so that's the conceit, right?
She's making a lot of assumptions that he's still alive in the first place.
And then don't take Starfleet, but all he does is get
that drove me
Starfleet
insane.
buddies and steals a Starfleet ship from a guy who doesn't like how they do Starfleet. So that's gonna go great.
That drove me insane because and he goes to Riker, which is fine, right? He goes to Riker. That's a good idea, right? His best friend Riker.
Sure. That part.
And then Riker's like, "I have a plan. We need to go to Starfleet." And it's like, dude, no, that's not the plan. Like, that's a horrible plan. Well, you can't just commandeer a ship. Like, that's not how it works, dude.
Well, he said, I have a workaround. And then it was great because it didn't work, really. It was comical. Yeah, and it gave us that intro to that captain who I forgot his name, but he was great. He was really good as that part. Like, just such a dick. Hateful and contemptuous of them to make us like not like him as a character, but then it's obvious he has a deep-seated thing against Borgs in particular, right? And so like John was alluding to, something from his past and probably connected with the Locutus betrayal and all that stuff.
Price found.
I love that.
Price found in the end credits thing for Wolf 359, so that's exactly what that is. He was in that battle and hates Borg.
And the timeline works out. So like this is 2404. Say he's in his 40s, maybe, right? So it's like 38 years earlier is Wolf 359. So he's probably a young kid. One or both of his parents probably died. Whatever.
Killed by Borg, and he was secretly raised by Borg, and oh my god,
yeah, right.
But so that's a tragic backstory to a guy that in these other shows we've been watching, he would have just said that in like
it would have been a whole thing.
My parents were killed by Borg, so I have a reason to not like they're letting it be there, and the reasons are there, and ideally it will pay off in a good way. So I have to reward better writing and improved writing when I see it. I thought this I think they're getting the message in Hollywood. They're realizing like all these movies come out, everybody's making them at the same time. All these writers are going around. They're doing the same shitty stories and the same kind of tropes and dumb quips and stuff are spreading out across shows. But then they start to realize it gets hacked and they got to try something new. I
hope so.
The thing I don't get that's been going on since whenever the fuck Discovery started is that you have an entire thing before you, an entire, whatever your metaphor you want, your menu of restaurant. It's a very successful restaurant. You've been doing your thing for 70 years. And then you hire a bunch of these other guys. And you're like, yeah, we're going to do all this stuff. But, instead of steak, we're going to, cook it in motor oil instead of, and it's like, yeah, I get kind of what you're doing, but you're not making it better. You're just making it like, you're not even just making it different for the sake of being different. Sometimes that really works, right? Like, hey, Starbucks and girl in Battlestar Galactica, we got phones on the wall. Okay, that works, right? But come on, man.
It was a case study in what is Star Trek and what is not. If you watch Picard season 1, episode 1, and season 3, episode 3, the way that I could not even make it through the episode. Like I had to look deep in my soul and be like, this is wrong. This is because I mean, not only was it not Star Trek at all, painfully not Star Trek-y, it just didn't. It wasn't good. It had to. You could have done that if it were really good, but it was horrible.
That's what we've been saying for years. If you want to make all these changes, you have to be good. Like, you can't make a shitty thing and then have all these things that piss us off as well, you know. But yeah.
But kudos to them for being able to write the course of the ship and do it this way. I mean,
after 7 years though, when fans like me and John, but off the pre-production stuff, predicted exactly what was going to happen. And you ever go back and read those early things, John? It's insane.
Oh yeah.
We're like, no, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. Holy shit. Look out. Everybody, let's leave. And it all comes true. Like, we are all like gypsies or something. And it's just because it was just so clear that that's what was going to happen.
It's just not good.
It's not good. So, hey, yeah, good job. You stopped sucking after 7 years.
You know.
Yeah.
I did like, I do not like the character of Rafi, but I liked how they did it. Where you don't know anything about Rafi, is that correct?
None.
Yeah, so she is like a former recovering addict. So like, if you know that detail, that gives that whole scene a little bit more. But if you don't know that detail, all you know is that she's an undercover Starfleet agent. Like, that still works. Like, the whole thing still works.
Okay.
I liked it, you know.
She kind of played it that way, though, when she had the thing of dope, and she kind of played it like, oh, dope, wouldn't that be cool? So, like, even if you didn't get her whole sordid, idiotic backstory, that there are addicts in the Federation, which is didn't they rewrite all of City on the Edge of Forever because of that? There are no addicts in the Federation, but who cares? God forbid Star Trek fans would know that Harlan Ellison walked over like there can't be drug pushers on the Enterprise. But, whatever. Let's throw drugs in there and get Ralphie some help.
I'll be honest, I didn't put together that she was undercover Starfleet. Like, I was taking her at her word, like she had been kicked out of Starfleet. But but her motivation that she stated was so, like, or not her motivation, but her reasoning, like she's going to rat her way back into Starfleet.
That was bad.
It doesn't make any, like, if you could just tell me some secrets that I could tell to Starfleet, they'll let me back in I didn't buy it at all. Neither did Greenie, I guess.
It's true. He's smarter than she is.
I liked the feeling though of having that character. Like, that was a great, a throwback alien race to Star Trek that gives you a little nostalgia and gives you a little context and worked in the setting. Like, I thought it was okay. Who is the handler though?
Worf.
That's a done deal.
Obvious.
I mean,
if it's anybody else, they're morons.
You are a warrior. It's like, oh, okay, it's Worf. Got it. Okay. First of all, undercover agents are not warriors. Like, Worf's just sitting there in Space Langley, behind his fucking cubicle, being like, "Oh, I'm a warrior." It's like, no, dude, you're a spook. Like, you're a G-man. You're a CIA officer. Like, fuck out of here. This isn't Jack Ryan, dude. You're an analyst.
He was saying that, so she's a warrior for her femininity, right? Like, don't forget that you're a warrior.
Oh, that's right. Don't forget you're a drug addict warrior.
That's Pacific. That's a pacifist Worf now. He's like,
yes, yeah,
girl power.
But yeah, I mean, who else could it be? It could be some like unknown character, just some random person that they want to introduce, I guess. The
idea being that Worf, we don't know where Worf is, right? Like, we haven't seen him in any of the previous seasons or anything like that.
No, he's coming back. The only thing they've said before season 3 is that Worf is now a pacifist, and it's like, okay, well, that's misdirection. That's clearly a misdirection.
Okay, wait a minute. I got one, guys. How about this? Riker mentions Deanna and Kestra need a break from him. Anyway, what are the odds that Kestra is his daughter or his polyamorous second? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I like the throuple idea.
It's the throuple. It's the far future. They didn't spell it out, so that the door is open for that. Unless Kestra is a thing we already know about.
Unfortunately, Dan, Kestra was in season 1. His daughter. Yeah, I apologize.
Even Riker's not that kinky, so
I
okay.
know, but he is good at making pizza in that episode. Yeah, and their other son died of some fake illness that doesn't exist.
Frakes got me with his light touch. It added just what they needed to Picard's like just sober, doddering elderliness.
Yeah,
you need a little Frakes, and
I thought Frakes did a great job. I think he did a really good job of kind of being that old guy who wants to go on one more adventure. You know, I think he did a really good job of that. And I know that sounds kind of, obvious, but that's not, you can't say anything is obvious in these anymore. Like he's intentionally being, hey, one more Wild Hogs movie. Come on, guys, let's do it. And Picard's like, I'll be there in a minute, and I think it works. I think he did a good job.
Don't you wish that this was the first episode of season 1 though?
Yes.
It's like the whole conceit of Picard is one last mission. Why did you make us wait until season 3 for one last mission, which is the only thing anybody gives a shit about?
Like literally, if there are no moving forward, if there are no like callbacks to season 1, season 2, I'm literally in my head like season 1, season 2 don't exist anymore. Like I might as well just start here.
I think if they don't address the robot thing in any way, then I think that is safe. That's what it is, because you can watch this as if those 2 seasons didn't exist. Like nothing of consequence really was discussed except for a couple relationships. Like who's the Romulan who's living with Picard, he's like, oh, I want to give away that painting. And she's like, nah, that old man doesn't know what he's talking like. We're keeping that.
When the series starts, Picard has 2 Romulan housekeepers who are former special agents. One of them dies in the middle of the season. The other one, Laris, becomes his girlfriend during season 2.
I wish they both died.
You know what? No, I wish that they had followed.
They were great. I wish they had,
because they were spectacular. Can you imagine? Like, we're just groundskeepers, but we're fucking space ninjas in case something happens. Because this is Jean-Luc Picard. Did we tell you? Like, why they didn't follow that thread? Yeah, this whole show, man. I'm with you. I'm not even going to talk about season 1.
And she's a fan favorite, which is why she was brought back for a 5-minute cameo. But so you don't know that 7 of 9 and Rafi were together for a while. So when Rafi's like, my girlfriend broke up with me, she's talking about 7 of 9. But like, again, you don't need to know that information. It's just extra information.
Because they weren't even girlfriends. There was one episode where they're sitting there having tea and going, hey, you're pretty hot. Oh, that's implied lesbianism. Yeah. Like,
in fact,
what did that do? That just cheapens everything.
On screen, 7 of 9 and Rios had the most chemistry, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, and Rios is gone. You want to talk about Rios? He's like the guy that you would want to hear a whole Star Trek show about. Yeah. Like it's Han Solo in a Star Trek uniform. Yeah. That's like license to print money. They're like, oh no, let's strand him in the past. Forget that never happened.
Dan, you would have loved Rios. His ship, because it was his own ship, and he made holograms of himself, but for each department. So like there was a hologram of him as a doctor and a hologram of him as an engineer, and they all had different accents. It's a very Dantron sort of setup. Yeah.
So where is the Enterprise at this point? I guess I didn't understand that.
So that's a good question. In the lead up to the show, they announced that the Enterprise F, which is Odyssey class, is being decommissioned on Frontier Day, which is the celebration they're going to have in the middle of the season. So presumably something happened to the E at some point. The Enterprise F was launched in 2386 and is now being decommissioned in 2404. But we don't know anything about it. We don't know who's the captain. We don't know anything about it.
Got it. So they got to get the band back together. You're going to have to get them on the Enterprise, or it's not.
My prediction is at the end of the series, 7 of 9 will become captain of the Enterprise G. That's my prediction.
Co-signed. I love that. You have to do that. What are we all doing here if not launching
my only concern? My only concern is they're going to do something stupid and be like, "Oh, the Voyager C is now yours," that sort of thing.
I also thought that Shaw, the dick captain, when he's like, well, so much for your career in Starfleet, honey. It's like, isn't it more like you're going to jail for what?
Yeah.
Did she just out and out disobey an order?
She took the ship all the way over here
and took it to the
while
other
he was
side
sleeping.
Of it. Yeah,
while he was asleep. Yeah.
So either he's like actually has a super heart of gold that is going to be revealed, or like I don't know, he's got to go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that was weird because like she definitely like is gonna get court-martialed
because that's straight up. Yeah, that's
that's mutiny if nothing else. Like
which John Price, you'll remember this. The Neil O'Donnell character, Lieutenant Hawk. Which movie was that?
Oh, that was First Contact.
So yeah, so in a movie you get your crew, and then like the other guy that's there for the movie,
right?
And so in this show, you don't just have your Picard cast, but you have all the next gen cast, and now they're bringing in a new captain. I don't care about this guy. I don't care what happens to him. He's a dick, and he learns his lesson. Who gives a shit? You know, I don't care. And they're all like, no, this is our new addition to the. Oh, really? A dick Starfleet captain? Yeah, that's your new original addition.
Well, they're trying to overcome that. They put out a whole thing about the bridge officers of the Titan, right? They're trying to overcompensate because in Discovery there was such a backlash against the secondary characters being nobodies that they've been trying to overcompensate in both Strange New Worlds and Picard. I mean, he's perfectly fine as like, oh, the obstacle in the way is this captain. Like, he's perfectly fine. I'm sure he does a great job. Like, I'm looking forward to him just being him and being kind of a dick captain. And I think you're right, Dan. I think, the vast majority of captains in Starfleet are probably like this. But it's like, yeah, we do have to follow the rules, dude. We don't have to
oh yeah, and very possessive, and don't like it when an admiral.
Oh my god, no! I mean,
it was good.
Everyone who's had a job knows that nobody likes it when the boss comes to visit, let alone a guy that you don't actually report to. It's like, yeah, dude, I don't report to you. Like, you're not my supervisor. Get the fuck out of here, and then I was gonna say something else. I don't remember.
I still think, sorry, Larry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to jump on about this Captain Shaw character.
Yeah.
First, fuck you that you're saying he's, Robert Shaw from Jaws. All right? You can't even fucking make up your own name. You have to do borrowed interest from that shit. And I wish I didn't know all this stuff because Metalis is just like sitting there talking about crap. John says he's Metalis's buddy. Like, I don't care. Why do we know that?
I didn't know any of that stuff, but
no, but
you don't need
it's
to know
out
that.
there, right? I'm saying I'm not happy that I know it. Like, there shouldn't be this homework that I have to do to get all the backstory of all the bridge officers because
I just thought they really that was an important character plot wise, and it was an interesting twist on a type of character we hadn't seen as a starship captain before. Like, I really, that was a highlight of this thing for me, was that guy. Like,
yeah, I don't think I came up with this, but I'm going to take credit for it anyway. If this was, and Suntress wrote, Picard would have had the same attitude as Shaw if it were in TNG, which is a very good point.
That's true, yeah.
In Shaw's world, Picard is the Admiral who's coming in for this episode and being like, no, we need to take over command. He's like, fuck you, you're not taking over command. Like, this is my ship. I'm the protagonist. So I like that dynamic. And again, I don't need him to be the greatest character of all time. I like the fact that he is a character, though.
Here's the difference.
Absolutely.
Here's the difference, though, right? I get that that's what they're doing, but as an audience member, I just don't care. If we wanted that kind of character to be the head of the show, they would do that. We want the guys that, the stranger with no heart and the human with no fear, who just don't fucking listen to their bosses and shoot shit and figure stuff out later and like bring your daughters. And that's why you watch television. It's an escape from all listening to your boss at work, and to have this fucking shit on where like, hey, all these cool guys have to have the same problems you do, like with your boss coming to visit. And
wow, I'm surprised by this take, Captain Fun. I really am.
There's no going boldly before. There's just
Well,
because
continuous remakes of Wrath of Khan.
I thought they tried to establish in Strange New Worlds at the end, like there's the difference between different kinds of captains. There's brash ones. There's there's going to be good ones. There's going to be shitty ones, and I really like that. There's people that don't get along, because that was what was always kind of missing in Star Trek to me. Like they're too friendly with each other. That's why I really loved Barclay from Next Generation. I like characters like that are just like don't fit in. They're not just nice guys all the time, or don't fit into the mold. And that's what I think a lot of people that are like that are attracted to Star Trek too. So I don't know. I'm up for Shaw, and I do believe redemption for arc for Shaw.
I agree with you. I think he's gonna come in and save the day at some point, and he's gonna be like, "What the fuck? I told you, you got to follow the book. Buy the book. If he does that, I'll be happy. Yeah. So where do you think this is going? I guess that's the next question, right? Where do we think this is going? Obviously, hopefully in the next episode we'll find out the identity of the kid, because that's kind of the cliffhanger thing, right? We'll find out what Bev's been up to for a while. We might find out the reveal of Worf as the handler. If not this episode, definitely by the third episode.
Yes.
And then we have to introduce the villain at some point, because that big spider ship showed up.
That's it.
And we're gonna have to figure out this villain situation.
I think
that's Amanda Plummer, right?
That's allegedly, yeah.
Yeah, that's
allegedly.
what I thought.
I think we need to noodle on it, because if they are unoriginal and are slavishly kind of aping Wrath of Khan, then the answer has to be right in front of us, right? Like it's got to be something that would work. I've got to really think about the structure of Wrath of Khan and how it.
There is no Khan equivalent for Picard, though. I mean, maybe in the depths of one of the 179 episodes, there's a character that they might have pulled, but like Amanda Plummer didn't play any of them, so
here's the thing: I never would have guessed Moriarty.
No, me neither.
And the only reason I think it's not is because they showed it in the trailer, and that's too much of a tip of the hat. Mm-hmm. But like,
yeah,
well, that one works. That character works for me.
That he's when we last saw him, he was like compressed in some little thing, right?
Yeah, a little isolinear ship.
Right, there you go. That has been carried around in Lore's side the whole time. Next, you know what I mean? It's like it's just I wish that everything was
buried alive. This is SETI Alpha 6, but it's like it's Lore's asshole. He's like,
Jesus. Yeah, like a whole Pulp Fiction thing. I cleaned this off. I carried this around.
You said you plugged me into an access chamber. It was.
Chris Sagasag says Amanda Plummer is Mephisto. What do we think about that?
All right, that's pretty
guys.
Funny.
Wait a minute, guys. I have to go. So I have to see my babysitter. I want you guys to keep going if you've got more stuff to go. Otherwise,
oh yeah. Well, thank you, Dan.
You got more, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh yeah. Hell
that's
yeah.
what I thought. All right, keep it going, guys. I'll see you. I might jump.
Well, we're talking about isolinear chips up Data's ass or whatever. we got plenty of that.
We can keep going. We can keep going.
All right, guys. I'll see you next time.
Thanks, Dan. All right. So here's the thing that really. Can I tell you the one thing that fucking just bothered me uncontrollably?
Yes, please.
You will understand. So there's some graphic, and they're doing the like, here's the Federation ship, and it's the little, next gen bug, the arrowhead with a circle, and okay, there you go, and it's NCC 2034. Okay, that's cool. And then they show another Federation ship, but it's got the fucking split Discovery arrowhead, and it says NCC 4120 or whatever. It's another ship. They're running in parallel. I'm like, why are they doing that?
Why?
Like in Shield. Right, the Eagle is the old school headquarters guy, and the Angular Eagle is like the operations guys. That kind of makes sense, even though the real story is that Josh Whedon just didn't like the old one and you started using the new one. But at least they made it make sense, right? How is this possible that in Picard, if that's the next generation world, that they have Discovery logos in it?
They tried for years to make that Discovery logo happen. It's like it's fetch. They're trying to make the Discovery logo happen, and
but see, there's ways to do it though. You do it like Shield, where here's a cool character and he's got that T-shirt on, right? And here's this other character and he's got this other similar T-shirt on. So they're on the same team. It's kind of like Ron Tracy, right? And you get
I don't understand why they don't just
going.
Use,
this is how it is.
What's wrong with this one? What's wrong with this one? This is a perfectly fine. And I hate the fact. Excuse. This is, I'm going to take a real quick side motion here.
Go ahead.
I hate the fact that they replaced this guy with the stupid version where it comes down into a point. I hate that new logo. Like, I'm wearing this when I meet Shatner. Fuck that.
Yeah, that I can't.
I'm just kidding. I'm not wearing that when I meet Shatner.
I'm not buying that new logo.
That's why, like, in my head, I'm like, okay, this is from All Good Things and all of the subsequent versions. This is the real future of Star Trek. And
why did they use that
logo?
Just silver and gold, like, alone makes it look better.
Oh my god, it's black and silver. Like, it just doesn't. Anyway, I hate the ship. I hate it so much. Now that Dan's gone, I can just kind of talk about how much I hate the ship. And I especially hate the ship because it's unclear as to if it's a new ship or not. They keep talking about it's a refit, quote unquote.
You mean
refit.
the Titan? Yeah.
Yeah, the Titan, which means refit. I don't think they know what the word refit means because you have the old ship, which is fine. It's the Shangri-La. Bill Krause made it. It's a gorgeous ship. It's motion picture era. It looks amazing. It's the Shangri-La Titan. It looks great, right? But it's motion picture era. It has motion picture nacelles, motion picture everything, right? And then you have the Titan that is actually a fan design, but they canonized it. It's the Titan. It's the Luna class. It's been in Lower Decks. It's been in a bunch of novels, right? It's interesting looking, right? But Riker was captain of that one for a whole thing. Now they're saying that this new Titan, the Titan A, which I hate, is a refit of Riker's Titan, which is a completely different size and shape of a ship. In what world is this a refit? Right? It's not like the TOS to the motion picture, right? You can conceive that like this is a Theseus ship situation where we've replaced so many things, but we're still calling it the same thing, right? I can conceive that because it's still the general shape, right? Saucer, like nacelles, right? It's the same general idea, right? This thing's completely different. I don't have a Titan Eagle Moss, but if I did, I would show it to you right now. It looks completely different. It's the wrong size. It's the wrong shape. Everything's about it. But then you have
cutouts on the back of that saucer section.
Right. All the dialogue is now about how, like Suntra says, Riker says, hello, beautiful. Right. Shaw talks about having to get rid of the smell.
Hi, guys.
Oh, my God.
Uh-oh.
This is terrifying.
It's me, Dr. John E. Price, AI PhD.
Oh, no.
Hello.
Okay.
This is just in case I've decided to bring in some virtual
Is this what I do? Do I do this? Do I glitch like this?
You're a little glitchy. You're a little Max Headroomy.
Hey, can you give me a second? Hey, me?
Yeah. So that's interesting. That was good though, Dan. I like it.
Thinking about adding this. As you can see, I'm using the free version of the software right now, and I gotta go.
I was just gonna say I'm glad you came back because I gotta go. My kid is I gotta pick up my kid.
Are we gonna call it? Are we calling this episode?
I gotta go too because I got a jelly bean here that's attacking me.
Ranting by myself. I like that.
On my other computer.
All right, guys, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Sorry, John. I gotta split.
We'll see you next time for some more Star Trek Picard.
Okay, guys, I got a video for us to go out on, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again. You saw this last time. Thanks for watching. We love you.